Well, good. I'm not. All right. No, good morning. My name is Mike, and it's good to be here with you this morning. Let's see what we got here. Let me turn on the machine here. Let's see if this works. Here we go. Yeah. My name is Mike, and I'll tell you a little bit about me as we go along. But I'm a Catholic speaker by trade. I served 6 years as a Catholic school teacher and administrator, 13 years as a diocesan idiot, and then the last 15 or 16 years as an itinerant Catholic speaker. That's what I do for a living. So I do a lot of types of talks to all kinds of different people. And I was doing a parish mission in a small town in Vernon, Texas. Very small town, beautiful town, Vernon, Texas. And I was driving for this mission, and this was the days before GPS was popular. So I printed up the MapQuest directions, and it said the church was 2.2 miles on the left. Well, I drove 2.2 miles. There was no church on the left. And I got a little bit nervous, and I saw a schoolboy on his bike. I said, son, could you tell me where Holy Family Church is? He said, mister, we only got one road in town. You're on it. The church is 2 blocks straight ahead. I said, well, thank you, son. I appreciate that. He said, why do you want to know where that church is? I said, I'm going there to do a mission. He said, a mission? What's that? I said, well, I'm going to help people find God. He looked at me and said, find God? You can't even find the church. The good news this morning, on this lovely April Easter morning, is I done found the church because I found you. Ordinary men and women who stand in the ditch every day to make a difference. So let's get to work. First of all, how many of you in here are first-year teachers? How many first-year teachers? Raise your hands really high. Give these people a round of applause. They have that deer in headlight look, and it's April and they ain't quit yet. All right, how many of you have been teaching 2 to 5 years? 2 to 5. All right, awesome. 5 to 10? It's kind of like a prison sentence, 5 to 10, good behavior right here. 10 to 15. Nice. 15 to 20. Whoa. 20 to 25. Since Noah got off the boat. There you go. There's the experience, people. Awesome, awesome, awesome. How many of you deal with what I call the innocents, like 2nd grade and under? How many of you deal with the little itty bitties? God love you. How many of you deal with what I call the riddling years, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade? Any of you deal with the vestibule of purgatory, the junior high student? Any of you? Yeah. High schoolers? High schoolers? Oh, look at me. I genuflect before you. And you got to do that when you enter the classroom because high schoolers know everything. That's good, that's good, that's good. Do I have any administrators here? Awesome, 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 awesome. All right, let's do this. Let's see what else. Oh, yeah. How many of you get paid monthly? Anybody get paid monthly? Raise your hands real high. Any of you get paid bi-weekly? Yeah, good, good, good. How many of you get paid weekly? Yep. Any of you get paid very weekly? Anybody at all? Awesome, 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 awesome. All right, let's move along. Boom. Look at me. A couple things I want to tell you. I want to tell you, listen to me. If you don't hear nothing else all day long, if you don't hear nothing else all day long, if you don't hear a dang thing all day long, thank you. Thank you for what you do because I'm going to tell you something. I want to be a good dad all my life. I got one daughter. She's 26. I want to be a good dad all my life, but I'm going to tell you something. It was people like you who stood in the void and showed her stuff that she could not hear from me. And sometimes I was too busy and too insecure and had my head up my own backside that I was too stupid to tell the people who mattered in her life during those days, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for standing in there and doing stuff that they don't pay you to do. For noticing the good in my daughter and children like her. Thank you because the best thing about being a teacher is it matters. The hardest thing about being a teacher is that it matters every day. And you show up every day on the days that are really good and on the days where it stinks, where the children walk in there. I'll never forget this. I taught for 6 years and I jacked up to teach and all of a sudden my students would come in, Mr. P, what are we doing today? I'm like, lecture. And they'd be like, I don't even know how to spell it. but I will slap the taste out your mouth with the love of Jesus. It matters every day. And I want to thank you because, look at me, I'm going to give you 2 images about teaching. 2 images. I shared this yesterday with principals as well. I'm going to give you 2 images that work for me about teachers. One is from sports, and one is from automotives. The one from sports is like, how you doing? All right, the one from sports is like the offensive line of a football team. Offensive line of a football team. Nobody knows your name. Nobody knows your name. You in the trenches every day doing grunt work. Nobody knows your name unless you make a mistake. And there's a penalty and a flag on the play. Then everybody knows your name. You stand in there every day and do hard work that nobody really truly gets. Everybody thinks it's so easy, right? And the other image I want to give you for what you do is the shock absorber on a car. Everybody wants to have a smooth ride, climate control, the video playing, the sunroof open. They don't want the bumps. And meanwhile, you underneath seeing the greasy underbelly of the machine. You're seeing every committee meeting, every paperwork, parent-teacher conferences. You're seeing all that nasty stuff and taking all the bumps and the hits. Yeah, nobody sees that part of the stuff, right? So I want to thank you for what you do. All right. My name is Mike Patin, 6 years, Catholic school teacher, told you all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. That's me. Let's move along. All right. Let me tell you something. This morning, I told Jesus, right before I walked in this room, I could not win. That's the last thing I told Jesus before I walked in this room. I can't win today. Teachers are a very critical audience. And let me tell you, when I look in here, this is a Baskin Robbins of spirituality. There's every kind of flavor, how people like to pray, how people like to hear presentations, what they think makes a good presenter, whack-a-lack-a-ding-dong. Everything in here, right? And guess what? I'm Rocky Road. And the second I say Rocky Road, there's some teacher in the back like, I knew it, I'm allergic to nuts. How many people in here like mint chocolate chip ice cream? Raise your hands really high. No, high. You people are satanic, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, I'm going to explain to you. It makes perfect sense. You people are satanic, and I'm going to tell you why. Because, look, let me explain something. If I meet Mr. or Miss Reese, who invented the peanut butter cup, I'm giving them the Nobel Peace Prize. That's brilliant. Those two go together, right? And I like mint ice cream, and I like chocolate chip ice cream, but you do not mix them two together. All of a sudden, the doorbell rings at the house. Little Girl Scout, would you like to buy some Thin Mints? I'm like, get away, Satan. Get away from me. No, what happens is, look at me. Look at me. This is very important, and I want to say this before we really get cranked up. I want to tell you 2 things. First thing is that's what happens in the world and in the country and in my church. I do certain things a certain way, and I like that way. And if you do something different than me, something is automatically suspect with you. So if you teach differently than me, something's suspect with you. And then watch this. What's even worse is, wait a minute. What you saying about Rocky Road ain't valid no more. You saying I'm not as fresh a flavor anymore? See, we start to go to that insecure place. So let me just say this. I ain't going to please everybody. I ain't going to be everybody's taste. I know that going in. I'm just a little pink spoon or something. You try it, you like it. And look at me. Y'all adults. Y'all ain't teenagers. You don't like this workshop, get up and leave. Go. No, go do what you got to do, boo-boo. You do you. That's what you got to do. Just be nice about it. Don't be like, I've been to too many of these where they wasted my time. This is not a methods workshop. I ain't giving you, hey, do these 7 things. You're going to be a better teacher next week when you go back. I ain't doing that. It's about motivation. And I'm not a motivational speaker because I don't live in a van down by the river. I don't do that. We're going to talk about the teaching thing that you do. All right, so let's move along. Click, click, click. By the way, Rocky Road and mint chocolate chip can get together. By the way, I'm sending this picture to Congress next week. Okay, all right, so let's go. All right. Hey, here's what we're doing today. We're going to talk about the things that suck the life out of us. We're going to talk about a guy named Elijah, and we're going to talk about a simple prescription. That's all we're going to do. The title of the workshop is There's a Hole in My Bucket. There's a hole in my bucket. I love doing teacher in services. I get juiced doing teacher in services. And I love it when they bring me in August. But that's not when you need me, because you're excited in August for about 7 minutes. You're happy to see your colleagues. You're happy to see everybody. You even might like the students for about 2 minutes. Then you're praying for Thanksgiving break, all right? Or Labor Day, depending on when you start. Yeah, all right? But there are things that start to suck the life out of us, huh? They start to just drain us. That's what we're going to talk about. First, I'm going to tell you a quick story. Whenever you talk in South Louisiana, there are two people who are the heroes of a story, Boudreaux and Thibodeau. Those are two legitimate last names of people, Boudreaux and Thibodeau. Boudreaux decided he was going to open him a medical clinic when he retired. He was 65 years old. He didn't have a day of medical training in his life, but he's going to open him a medical clinic. And he put a sign in the window that said, hey, if I help you, you got to pay me $500. But if I can't help you with whatever you got, I will pay you $1,000. So the young doctor in town, Dr. Thibodeau, knew that Boudreaux didn't have no training, so he wanted to expose him as a fraud. So he went in the office, and Boudreaux said, what are you doing here? He goes, we both know you don't have any training. I'm here to get some free money and run you out of business. He goes, not so fast. He goes, what's your ailment? He goes, well, if you must know, I've lost my sense of taste. Boudreaux thought for a second. He turned to his little assistant. He goes, hey, do me a favor. Go get jug number 5 off that shelf and get an eyedropper and drop 3 drops on that man's tongue right there. So the assistant went and did it. And as soon as the first drop hit Dr. Thibodeau's tongue, Thibodeau yelled out, hey, stop that. That's gasoline. And Boudreaux looked at him and laughed. He goes, your taste buds are fixed. That'd be $500. The young doctor got ticked off. He left the office. 2 weeks later, he comes back in there, storming in. And Boudreaux said, Doc, why are you here now? He goes, you got $500 of my money. I'm going to even up and get some money back. He goes, all right, what's your ailment now? He goes, if you must know, I've lost my sense of memory. What you going to do about that? Boudreaux thought for a second. He turned to his assistant and goes, hey, do me a favor. Go get jug number 5. Get an eyedropper. Get 3 drops. Drop it. He goes, don't get jug 5. That's gasoline. He goes, your memory's fixed. That'll be $500. Well, now the doctor's upset. He's out $1,000. Sure enough, he comes back 2 weeks later wearing them dark sunglasses. Got them big sunglasses on. He goes, all of a sudden he walked in there and Boudreaux says, now what are you here for? He goes, you can't fix everything with gasoline. I got you now. I lost my sight. What you going to do about that? All of a sudden Boudreaux looked and thought for a second. He goes, you know what? You're right. I can't fix that. Reached in his money clip, got a $20 bill. He goes, here you go. He said, wait a minute, that ain't no $1,000. That's a $20 bill. He goes, your eyesight's fixed. That'd be $500 right there. The reason I tell you this silly little story is after we get in the grind so often, and once we get to this point of the year, which is what I call survival mode, because this is your last break. It's now sprinting to June, Jack. And most of us ain't got no more day off. This is it. Won't. When you start hitting that grind, it's really easy to lose our taste while we teach. It's really easy to lose our memory while we got into this. And it's really easy to lose our sight about what we're called to do and who it is we're called to be with. So that's what we're going to do today. So do me a favor, everybody in here. Everybody, look at the person sitting on your left. Go ahead, look at him. Look at him. I know you're looking at the back of their head. Don't worry about that. Now everybody look at the person sitting on your right. Look. All right, now everybody look at me. Psychologists tell us 2 out of every 3 people are normal. That means one of you ain't right in the head. That's what it means. Here's what we're going to do, really quick like. I'm going to ask you with the person on left, right, front, back. I'm going to frame the question 2 ways. It's the same question, but it's framed 2 ways. We got seats up in the front. You're not going to bother me because they're going to be talking in a minute. So if you don't want to stand up all hour, y'all can come sit wherever you need. All right, watch this. Here's the 2 questions. It's the same question, but 2 parts. What sucks the passion out of you? What drains your energy? What takes your enthusiasm away from you? What does it? All right, that's the one question. What robs your passion or drains your spirit? Same question, another way of phrasing it. What's the obstacles or challenges to working in a Catholic school today? Same question with your neighbor. So watch. The reason I got the picture up is not because I look like Ned Flanders. I'm going to just tell you that right now. The reason I got the picture up there is I work for the devil. I work for the devil. That's our hypothetical thing here. I work for the devil, and I'm in charge of his marketing department. And I'm going to have you as my little subcommittees make an anti-teaching brochure. Not to get people to come in and teach in the Catholic school. No, no, no. I want to convince people why you should never come to work for the Catholic school, because they never told me about this stuff. I want to know what's the top 10 things that suck the life out of you. What are the top 10 obstacles you can think of? Now, you ain't got to make no list, you overachievers, but you got to talk with one another, all right? Talk with one another. So what are some of the things that just drain you and are obstacles to doing the good work that you do today? You got about 2.5 minutes. Ready, set, go. Go, 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 go. All right, friends and neighbors. Come on back. Come on back. Now, here's the rules for this next part. I'm going to get a few people to just give me some of the things, not the entire list, just one of the things you and your partner talked about. Here's the rules. Number one, if you have an answer, you'll raise your hand. Number two, if I call on you, you'll stand up. Not to be a show-off, not to be a comedian, but you will stand up and you will use your voice to project so the rest of the room can hear you. Thirdly, I would like a short, concise answer. You want to present a workshop at NCEA, you submit your proposal like everybody else. I do not need a 22-minute lecture about what's wrong with these United States of America, or the Catholic Church for that matter. And I know some of you, you're a little nervous. You want to speak up and you want to say what you talked about, but you know they got other teachers from your school or your diocese here. So you don't want to look negative. So here's how you get around that. I didn't say it, but somebody I was talking to brought up blah, 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 blah. All right? So let's see what we got here. Raise your hand if you got an answer. Raise your hand. What's an out? Yes, sir. Stand up. Be loud. Lack of support from home. I was doing a workshop for faculty in Evansville, Indiana. I was doing it for Evansville, Indiana, and all of a sudden I asked the question, and a coach raised a hand, and he said the same thing. He didn't get support from home. I said, what do you mean? He goes, you know, it's tough to leave your loved ones and go home to your dependents. That's an interesting statement right there. But no, sometimes the very people we live with don't get it. Oh, wait a minute. Now I got you. Because I was going to say there's a marriage counselor coming in next. No, but wait a minute. But watch this, though. But you're right. Parent. How many of you said parents? How many of you brought parents up? How many of you brought parents up? Good. Let's talk about them freaks. All right, here we go. I'm going to say, let me look at the year on this thing. Give me a second. I'm going to say 15 years ago, give or take, Time Magazine did an article, What Teachers Hate About Parents. It was a 12-page expose that I'm going to narrow down into about 5 minutes of work right here. So just be patient with me very quickly. So here's the deal. In this article, they basically said there are two extremes of parents. Now, again, this was 12 years ago. This is way before the social media just blew up like it's blown up today, right? But you got two extremes. And one extreme of parenting is what we call the dry cleaning mentality of parenting. Dry cleaning. They believe that the parent's only job in education is twofold: drop off and pick up. No. They think that if they pay tuition, you could fix everything. Hey, here's little Susie. If you could get her to learn her math and help her to basically understand her prayers and not have sex, we would appreciate it. Thank you. Like I'm Dr. Phil and I'm going to change somebody's DNA, you know? And look at me. Look at me. You ain't going to like what's going to come out of my mouth next. I hated these parents. Drop off and pick up. And if you're lucky, they pick up on time. Johnny, when's your mama coming? July. Call grandma because we ain't staying that late. Go ahead, call somebody. So wait, but what happens though is, watch this. And I know, don't get me wrong, because A, I was one of them, and B, I taught, and they used to tick me off too. But look at me. You're not going to like what I'm going to say. I think we got to look at them differently. I think we got to look at parents differently, because watch that. There's some people right here in this category, they want to do well by their kids. They don't know how. And let me explain something to you. If you ain't figured out that when you sign that contract, you agreed to educate 2 generations at the same time. No, look at me. If you don't understand that when you signed your little piece of paper, that's what basically you said. It ain't written on the paper. Because look at me. Because what happens is we believe that just because somebody births or sires a child that they know what to do. That ain't true. That ain't true. You got to help me, help you, help me, help that kid. You have to. We have got to keep giving parents resources. Well, I try, but none of them ever read it. None of them ever use it. Suck it up, Buttercup. Do it again and send it again, because I want to do right by my kid. I want to do right by my kid, but I don't know how. I don't know the new math. You laugh. I was in a parish, a really good parish that has good religious formation. And they said, October is the month of the rosary. We would like you to pray the rosary with your children. And a bunch of good, solid, Catholic young moms said, we want to do that. We were never taught how to say it. We can't assume they know. And we got to help them even though they resist. And when we got to give them resources, they got to be PhD resources. Press here, dummy. You got to make it so easy. Tell me what I should be asking on the way to soccer practice. Because young people hate when their parents ask them. How many of you have kids of your own? How many got kids of your own? Yeah. How many of you pick them up? You pick them up and you ask them the one question and they look at you with the stank eye. Because it's the one question young people hate the most. How was school today? 1,000 things happen. Don't ask me how school was today. Ask me what I ate for lunch. Ask me who I sat next to. Ask me how coach's class was. Well, guess what? I got to teach parents how to ask questions. I got to teach parents how to listen without being the Gestapo. Yeah, me. And I'm not the brightest tool in the box. So you got the one extreme of parent that looks like the laissez-faire, the drop, pick up, drop off. That's one extreme of parent. The other extreme of parent is what I like to call Martha Stewart jacked up on Pinterest and crack cocaine. All right? This is the mom or dad who wants to get in every detail of your business. They want to do your bulletin board. They want to bring the refreshments. Hey, you ought to get so-and-so as a speaker. For you, you guys are coaches, men or women. Oh, they want to have their kid be this, that, and the other, this, that, and the other. And they're jacked up. They are jacked up. They want to take control. They believe that because they pay tuition, they have the right to call your classroom. You see, now that's a very different way here. But I'm going to talk about them people too, because I was one of them. You see, all of a sudden, them people, they come up there. You ever have this happen? They come to you, I'd like to talk to you about Susie's grade. Yes, ma'am, what can I do for you? I think you graded the paper wrong. Well, why is that? I looked at her paper and you gave her an F. Well, ma'am, she only got 4 out of 27 correct. So you don't think that's a C? Well, I see where she gets her math skills from. No, ma'am, da-da-da-da-da. And then, like they want to frost my cupcake, they'll pull this line out of their pocket. Huh? Oh, we'll just see about that. Because I pay your salary. And I'm like, look, lady, here's your $10 back. Get the hell out of my face. And look at me. I'm one of them. Look at me. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to help you understand parents. I'm going to help you understand parents. Parents, do me a favor before I even tell you this. Everybody in here, close your eyes. Close your eyes. Everybody in here, imagine your 8th grade yearbook picture. All right, open your eyes. I know what you're thinking, but no, I was not the hunk of a stud you see stand before you today when I was in the 8th grade. Parents ain't nothing more than 8th graders whose insecurities have shifted. In the 8th grade, I'm worried, am I athletic enough, tall enough? Am I popular enough? Do I know how to act around the girls? Do I have the right amount of friends? How come I'm in the 8th grade and I'm 4 foot nothing and my buddy's 5'11"? How come when he talks, he sounds like Barry White and I sound like Michael Jackson? And if you don't know who those two people are, you're too damn young. Get out of here right now. How come? But now watch, when I'm a parent, it's not, hopefully I've navigated through the do I fit in? Am I okay in my body? Hopefully I've navigated through that. But now I'm navigating, am I doing it right by my kid? Parents are more insecure and need more affirmation than the young people in our classrooms. And wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this job. Not explicitly, but implicitly you did. And you got to help them to help the kid. Because you probably spend more quality time with them than they do. See, because I'm one of them parents. See, I got a cell phone and a credit card. There ain't nothing I can't do. And my baby ain't gonna fail, because if my baby fails, then guess what? By extension, I fail. See, we got many parents who believe their children are an extension of their self-esteem. And I'm going to tell you my horror story, not my horror story, but my guilty story. You see, my daughter is a junior in high school and she is struggling academically. And I go to the guidance counselor, a woman I taught with 20 years ago, a very wise woman. And I'm there, I'm like, Francis, I'm worried about Megan. I'm worried about Megan. She's talking about taking the GED. She wants to quit school because she's busting her tail. And I study with her. And when I study with her, she knows the stuff orally. She's just not a good test taker this way. I got that stuff. And when we do history, she nails it. But she comes back and she makes a D. And there are people in her class who cheat and make A's. And she goes, Daddy, why do I got to bother? And I said, next year she got to go through physics. She got to go through AP this, AP that. She ain't going to make it, Francis. Francis, I'm worried about her self-esteem. And you got to know Francis. Francis is a brilliant woman. She looked at me and she laughed. She goes, sounds like to me I got a dad with early anxiety and separation. He's worried that he scaffolded this little girl correctly. Mike, did your dad know your ACT scores and all that stuff? I'm like, no. He said, I better pass her. He'd kick my butt. He said, let me ask you something. She's doing drugs? No. She's sleeping around? No. Your daughter's all right. Did you hear yourself? I'm like, what do you mean, did I hear myself? She goes, what did you say? You're worried about your daughter's self-esteem. Do you know where self-esteem comes from? You ever get dressed down by somebody and feel stupid? And I'm like, the self? She's like, yeah, the self. She goes, but you know what your baby needs to gain self-esteem? I'm like, what? She goes, she needs to overcome failure and see that it doesn't kill her. And she said, and you know what your baby needs to be able to overcome failure? Failure? She goes, yeah. But you see, I'm one of those dads and I'm one of those parents. And what used to tick me off more than anything else was how parents looked at me sometimes. How many of you ever out at the grocery store or something like that, and all of a sudden you at the grocery store and you see parents, and you know those parents know who you are, but they make like they don't know who you are? Oh, look, there's the little man that cuts the yard. Oh, look, there's the lady that dusts the house twice a month. Oh, look, there's the little man that teaches my child religion. Hey! Don't look at me like I'm a second-class citizen. I know something about the little spawn of Satan you got running around right here. I probably spend more time with him than you do because we partners in this enterprise. That was a good first answer about parents. That was good. That was good. Somebody else, give me an obstacle about teaching. Quickly, quickly, quickly. Give me an obstacle. What'd you talk about? Yes, ma'am.
Kids who don't care.
Kids who don't care. I'd like to talk about that, but I'm apathetic. All right. No, because show me what difference this is going to make. Show me what difference knowing the agreement between a subject and a verb. Show me how knowing the 10 Commandments is going to get me a better looking girlfriend. Show me how when I can go be engaged and become the world champion Fortnite player and make $1 million. It's hard because they expect a level of engagement that's far different than it was 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 60 years ago. So the expectations have changed, so they don't have to care. I can go online and learn this stuff. I don't have to learn how to look something up in a library. I Wikipedia that, I Google that. I'm done. My research is done. The game has changed. What else? Come on, give me a couple more. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Come on, don't be scared. Yes, ma'am. Stand up. Go. Finances. Money, 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 money. I have met educators who were born to mold minds and sculpt souls and had to leave Catholic education because they could not support their family. And they're doing noble things like selling insurance and cars, but it broke my soul because they were phenomenal coaches and teachers, and they had to leave. When I started teaching in Louisiana, I knew colleagues in North Louisiana who technically lived beneath the poverty level with the salaries they made in Catholic education. And then the whole money thing, oh man, oh, I love when y'all get together. When Catholic school teachers get together, it's amazing because it becomes a litany of the oppressed. People start comparing who has it worse. Huh? Oh, you think your principal is bad? We have Queen of the Village Idiots. Aha. Oh, you have to share your classroom with the janitor? I have a rolling cart with only 3 wheels. Aha. And they said next year I could requisition for the 4th wheel. And they want us to keep up academically with the scores of the public school, but we don't have the equipment or the budget of the public school. Right? So you want me to keep up with the science scores of the public school, but I can't afford a microscope. All I can afford is the magnifying glass they gave me in the box of Cracker Jacks they gave me for Teacher Appreciation Week. That's all I got. And you want me to keep up with that? Money. And let me tell you, I'm not going to talk long about this, but let's talk straight up. People ain't coming to church no more. This whole scandal thing is hurting. It's not the only thing hurting, but it's hurting. And if people ain't coming to church, they ain't giving. So parishes can't subsidize, and we can't raise tuition. So you don't get a raise. And we have to fundraise. How many of you, no offense, how many of you had to fundraise your own way to come to this little show here? God bless you. God bless you, man. God bless you. I'm going to talk at the end about Canada. I'm going to talk at the end about Canada and some stuff they do, but I'm going to talk about us first. But I'll give you an idea. In Louisiana, I don't think they do this anymore. 15 years ago, you would see billboards in Louisiana. Come and teach in Texas. We will give you a $25,000 signing bonus. Signing bonus. Now, you see, first of all, Louisiana's salaries ain't that good. Louisiana's 49th in education. And that's why we thank God for Mississippi every morning. All right, I'll tell you that. First of all, if you're from Mississippi, I'm joking. Second of all, I don't know what state's 50th at all. I have no idea. But the money issue, we don't put our money where our mouth is. There was a president of these United States of America who said, it must give cynics and skeptics a great amount of pleasure that the professions we pay the least in our society are those who educate and protect our society. And the name of the president was John Fitzgerald Kennedy. He said that close to 60 years ago. And yet education still is not seen as a priority where we put our money in our mouth. Any other obstacles you came up with? Any other obstacles you came up with? Back row Catholic. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the first thing I'm going to say is you need to go into politics. Because you was very polite how you said that. Y'all, I was a diocesan person for 13 years. And I know what y'all think about people in the diocesan office. Y'all think we sit up there in the castle like, how can we screw the people in the field today? I know, let's make a new form. What new initiative of the month, which was designed by somebody who ain't been in a classroom in 20-some years? Have you thought about this, Einstein, before you ran it up the flagpole? Paperwork will choke the life out of people. You got a kindergarten class, it's the last day of school in June, you want to take the little toddlers down the block to get a snow cone. But then you realize you got to have one parent for every 6 kids. They got to be Virtus trained, fingerprinted. If we're going to drive them, we got to have $100,000, $300,000 insurance. They got to sign waivers and like kids just bring some Kool-Aid. We're going to freeze it. We ain't doing that. It's terrible. What else? What else you got? What else you got? Anybody else? Give me one or two more. One or two more. One or two more. Yes, ma'am. Massive to-do list in a small amount of time. There's another thing about Catholic education. Exactly. Here it comes real quick. Like, you ever notice that the Catholic system, the Catholic Church and the Catholic school are the opposite of the real world? In the real world, you always worried where your next job is going to come from. Not in the church. Once you get in, how do you get out? You can't get out. All I wanted to do was teach 3rd grade whack-a-lack-a-ding-dong. So I want to teach 3rd grade whatever. And all of a sudden, I'm in charge of the Dunkin' booth at the parish fair. And the Pope called, he wants me to be his secretary. How did that happen? And look, Catholic school, oh my Lord, you go for your interview and they look over your resume. Oh, you cut a somersault once? Congratulations, you're gymnastics coach. Yo, I was in a Catholic school. I was in a Catholic school for 6 years, and I was boys basketball, girls volleyball, boys baseball, girls softball, and golf. And I had never picked up a club. I had played putt-putt. I was overqualified. It was rent a coach. And I'll never forget this, that first year coaching, we had an eighth grade basketball tournament. And I had parents sign up. We're going to give you all kinds of help. We're going to help you. We're going to help you because we were raising money for new uniforms for the kids, right? Oh, we're going to help you. We're going to help you. I ran the clock. I cooked popcorn. I took the gate. No help at all. It's Sunday night. I'm mopping up the gym because varsity has practice the next morning. The AD, my basketball coach when I was in high school and who I was an assistant for, he walks up to me. Now, this is a long time ago. Some of you wasn't even born yet. He hands me $50. I said, Coach, what's that? He goes, that's for you. I said, Coach, I was a new teacher, right? I'm like, Coach, I can't take this money. It's against principle. Blah, 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 blah. He says, son, you work in a Catholic school. They're going to overwork you, underpay you, and kick you in the ass. Take the money. That was true. That was true. Yeah. Anybody else? One last one. I'm going to go to work. Yay, over there. What you got? Lack of support for students with disabilities. We have all kinds of families who come to us and they want. And we're already kind of under-equipped in many areas. And when we do have students who learn differently, period. No matter. I have a really good friend who's a demigod, a mentor of mine, who really wants to make our small Catholic school the home in our city for students with autism. And she has a 10-year plan of how she's going to make that work. Because right now, there's no place for children who have that significant challenge to be cared for and the families who love them. And this happens in all kinds of different ways. All kinds. And I am not an educational expert, so I don't know all the different challenges that young people face when it comes to cognitive development, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know that stuff. But I do know that if you're trying to do that, you're catching and fetching on your own. Many schools just don't have the stuff they need to do it. That makes it disheartening. That makes it disheartening. Now, we could go on and on and on and on and on. You know, so you got all the rules and all the policies. You got parents. You got tons of paperwork. People don't want to change. Some of you new teachers come in and you see these teachers, you know the teacher I'm talking about, and you other teachers, forgive me right now, but you come into a faculty and you see a woman who's been on faculty and you're pretty sure she gave Jesus first communion. You're pretty sure she was there. Right? And she's been using the same lesson plans and the same bulletin boards since forever, right? And so you can write her off because she ain't willing to change. And yet, we got some teachers who are veterans who see these new people who say like, oh, I'm going to just use technology, this, that, and the other. And they don't know jack squat about discipline and working with people. And what happens sometimes is the Baskin-Robbins mentality. The greatest indicator of a school's health and morale, the greatest indicator of how strong, how solid your school is the faculty lounge. Yeah, you got uncomfortable, didn't you, right there? That's good. And you know what bothers me? You know what bothers me more than anything else? It's not losing our kids to other schools. It's Catholics beating up Catholics. It's educators beating up educators because you don't teach the same way I do. You're not as solid a teacher as I am. Coaches ain't real teachers. Let me explain something to you. You got them 1 year. I got them 4. And I'm going to build a relationship with them. And you might need me to figure out how I can motivate Joe to learn in your classroom. And vice versa for that matter. You may have some tip that will help me learn how to coach Joe better. But what happens is art's not a real subject. She's not a real teacher because she's part-time. I don't see why you have to mass every week. Down. And what happens is we start nitpicking each other. I can understand when people from the outside are warping on me. It's the people on the inside. That's when it hurts the most. And I got news for you. When you start sniping in that faculty lounge, guess what? Your stuff's out on the street by 2:22 that afternoon. Because you know there's some mom, you're never going to guess what I heard today. Or there's some dad, dude, guess what? It's how we treat one another. Sometimes we're not willing to change or see how other people do it. And you got that whole apathy thing. Click. Budget cuts. Due to budget cuts, the light at the end of the tunnel has been turned off. And you get people who are indifferent, parents, administrators, because they're fighting a hard battle. Cynicism. People become cynicism. I'm not going to this workshop. This workshop's going to bite. I'm not going to this thing because it's always, all of a sudden, because it starts to hurt. You're taking my energy from me. You're taking my juice. I used to be fired up for this. That stuff will suck the life out of you. And we just hit some of these. My favorite part is we're understood by coworkers, students. How many of you've had a long week, you're so excited you didn't go postal on anybody this week? It's TGIF. You go out with your friends or your family, and you decide you're going to have a little meal and maybe a little glass of something I call liquid courage. And you're sitting there sipping, and all of a sudden one of the students comes up, Mr. Mike, you drink? Every time you're not around, Skippy, I'll tell you that right there. Oh, you thought that was the Holy Spirit. We're misunderstood. We're misunderstood. People expect more of us than is what's there, right? All of a sudden, you go to Mass. You're minding your own business in Mass, and then somebody come up to you, talking about it. God knows what. Did you see that little altar boy spinning that rope like that? Not my department, lady. Or somebody come up to you, hey, you work at a Catholic school. How come St. Christopher ain't a saint no more? Dude, I'm not in charge of that. I hate that stuff, man. And look, how about this? How many of you, Thanksgiving Day, you're at your family's house, and all of a sudden like, well, Mike, you work in a Catholic school. Why don't you lead us in grace? Because I'm on break, you damn pagan. Take it for a change. And God forbid that somebody in our family messes up. One of your kids gets expelled. My daughter had a child out of the natural order, if you will. Oh, you can go talk to everybody across the world, but you can't keep your own house in business. Let me explain something. I never claimed to be Jesus Christ. I'm a struggling follower, and I'm doing the best I can. So don't put me on some dang pedestal, you understand? I'm as faulted and flawed as sinful as probably more than 95% of people in this room. Save the golf clap for Roy. He's next, all right? All right. I'm going to very quickly go over something. And look at me. I know this is going to sound cheesy. And I don't mean it to sound cheesy because I hate when people do this. I'm going to share with you 5 things, and then we're going to flip the script. 5 things that nobody really ever tells you when you get into the business. And I wrote a small little book. It's in the NCEA. There's only 20 copies, so it's not like I'm hey, buy my book. And the book is entitled, This Was Not in the Brochure. They didn't tell me about this. If they told me about this, I would never have gotten the business. I'm going to go over them real fast, 5 of them. Number 1, overburdens. Multiple expectations, unclear expectations, unreasonable expectations. Do more with less. You remember Calvin and Hobbes, the comic strip? Anybody remember Calvin and Hobbes? I had one I used to keep on my desk. God has put me on this earth to accomplish a certain number of tasks. Right now, I am so far behind, I may never die. I feel like there's always I'm going to die with the biggest to-do list in the history of humanity, right? So we're overburdened. The system does that, right? Another one, obstacles. There are obstacles in the institution. Pay. Lack of job security. Any one of you today, myself included, any one of you today, new principal can walk in, new bishop can walk in. Thank you so much for your service. They don't have to give you a reason. You could have given 25 years, 30 years, and there is no job security in our system. And they don't even have to tell you why they fired you. Matter of fact, most legal departments will make sure they don't tell you why they fire you. or why they let you go or not renew your contract, right? Paperwork and bureaucracy, we talked about labels and turf wars, especially in the church. Progressive, liberal, moderative, Eucharistic, devotional, Marian, blah, blah, blah. We do it, man. We got labels everywhere. And some of that stuff sucks the life out of me when somebody assumes the worst motive of me. That chaps me to no end. Click. Some of our obstacles ain't from the outside. Some are from the inside. Some of us, we mistake what Jesus wants of us. We think he wants us to be miserable, that he expects us to say yes always. There's a wonderful thing. If you're really bored, I have a website, and there's a thing called downloads. If you go to MikePatin.com, downloads, and you go to downloads, there's one called When Jesus Said No, and it's a list of things in Scripture where Jesus said, no, I ain't doing it. See, we mistakenly think Jesus said yes every time to everything. And sometimes that gets us in trouble. Huh? All right. Some of us, we fail to set limits. We get this adrenaline rush of pulling off the impossible. Oh, I do my best work at the last minute. No, you just rationalized procrastination is what you did right there. That's what you did. But some of us get juiced on that. And some of us like, oh, last year we had 600 for Grandparents' Day. This year we're going to have 700. So we push ourselves, we push ourselves, we push ourselves. And some of us like being miserable because we don't get stroke. We love talking to everybody. I could see y'all coming in. Hey, how's your year been? I saw you last year at NCEA. How's your year been? Oh, I'm so busy. Like you're going to get an extra merit badge from Jesus because you're so busy. Some of us, we do. We like walking around, and we wonder why nobody wants to come teach in Catholic schools because we're always so happy. How are you? I'm so busy. Click. You can laugh all you want, but some of us, that's how we act. Feel sorry for me. Don't get me wrong. I want some, and look, I got the best job in America, you understand? But I want somebody every once in a while to think that what I do is noble. Because every once in a while, leaving a family and a granddaughter hurts. Well, yeah, you're in hotels, you're in airplanes. Yeah, I am, and it's pretty nice, but it ain't as glamorous as you think. Them people at TSA ain't as friendly as you think. Everybody wants to believe what they do is noble, but when I don't get that stroke, all of a sudden, all them cynical things start getting on the inside, and it starts coming out as passive-aggressive crap. And look at me, I'm as guilty, if not the guiltiest one in this room, standing up here, so I know what I'm talking about. We're going to talk about how to flip that in a minute, but some of us, we fail to set our own limits. We run that copy machine. You run a copy machine, 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 don't add no toner. Run a copy machine, run a copy machine, run a copy machine, run a copy machine, don't do yearly maintenance. Run a copy machine, run a copy machine, run a copy machine. What's going to happen to a copy machine? For those of you who can't figure out the parable, you are the copy machine. I don't have limits. I can run, 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 I can run. No, you can't. You're either going to have an emotional or you're going to have a physical or a spiritual. That's just the law. And some of us feel like we don't have no support. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. I got no Tonto. I'm a Lone Ranger. I'm by myself. I'm the only one. Blah, 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 blah. All right, now we're going to flip the script. How we doing? Yeah, I got 20 minutes. I'm good. All right, so watch this. We're going to flip the script. One of my favorite passages in all of Scripture comes from the first book of Kings, chapter 19. The situation is such that there's kind of been a battle of the gods, and Elijah calls down Yahweh to take Jezebel and her priests and their fake gods, and they slay them all, and all the prophets of Jezebel are dead. And Jezebel basically says, Elijah, if by this time tomorrow night you ain't a dead man, I'm going to take my own life. Basically, she's saying, I got an all-points bulletin out for you. You might as well count your chickens. You're done. So Elijah runs. I got to get help from God, so let me run to the mountain of the Lord. So he runs, and finally he can't take it no more, and he falls under a broom tree, is what the Scripture says. And he prays to God, take my life. I'm tired of running from these people. Take my life. I'm no better than my father's. You might as well let me die here. And he falls asleep. And all of a sudden, there's an angel of the Lord, taps him on the shoulder, says, eat, drink, rest, or else the journey will be too much for you. And there's a little jug and a little cake. And Elijah looks at it and he just falls back asleep. And the second time the angel, eat. Angels can get ticky, all right? Eat, drink, rest, or the journey will be too much for you. And then, of course, he eats and drinks, and he gets up and he goes to the mountain of the Lord. And then some of us know the next part of that chapter where the Lord was in the earthquake. No. The Lord was in the fire. No. And then it was a quiet wind. Elijah, why are you here? There's something to that passage. Lord, I'm tired. I'm ready to quit. I'm ready to tell my principal, don't renew my contract. I'm done. I've had enough. If that parent says one more cross word, it gives me the stank eye one more time, I'm going to go off like nobody's business. Take my life, Lord. I'm done. But I believe the Lord in that scripture passage has a word for us. Eat, drink, rest. I know what empties my bucket. I got to know what fills my bucket. That's what we're going to talk about fast for the next 15 minutes. You and I are people of spirituality. Every one of us has a soul, which is a divine spark from God. But that soul, which is kind of the same, it's wrapped in different spiritualities, different flavors. I'm going to talk to you about what fills up my spirit. You got a spirit too. I don't know what church you go to. I don't know how active you are in your church. That's not my business. But I know you got a spirit. And if you don't take care of it, they're going to drain it. This is wonderful work. This is noble work. This is godly work. But it will suck us dry and not give us squat. They'll get somebody to replace us in the morning. And it's not because the church is bad. It's not because superintendent or principal is bad. The gospel goes on. And yet we've got to learn something from Elijah and from Jesus. We've got to learn how to fill the bucket. I'm going to talk to you about how I fill mine, and then I'll let you talk about how you fill yours. How you fill your bucket. Food and drink. Food and drink. Oh! Let me tell you something. If they ain't got nachos in heaven, I'm going to the complaint department. Rocky Road ice cream. A nice glass of Chardonnay. Crawfish. Now, some of you are like, crawfish. Let me explain something. God created crawfish. And God created two kinds of people. Those that like crawfish, those that don't. Those that like crawfish, he called Cajun. Those that don't, he called unfortunate. That's all he has. I'm going to just say hi there. Really fast. You ready? Really fast. You got to work with me here. You got to work with me here. Turn to your neighbor. What's on your food and drink list? Quick. What's on your food and drink list? What makes you happy? What makes you happy? What makes you happy? All right. Come on back. Ready? Hands up. Hands up. Give me 5. Give me 5. I need 5 quick answers. What's on your list? Give me 5 answers. Quick. What's on your list? That's not food or drink. We'll get to that next. Alcohol. And no need to be specific. Rubbing, ethanol, it don't matter. Coffee. Diet Pepsi. I'm a Diet Dr. Pepper man myself. Pizza. Thin or thick? Either. Why discriminate, eh? There you go. That's what somebody says about wine. White or red? I'm like, I'm not racist. It don't matter. There you go. It don't matter. Look at me. There are foods and drinks that make me happy. We're going to get to this at the end. Let's go quick. Nextly, what about input, reading, music, movies? For me, the Big Bang Theory. I believe I was all of these guys. I don't know. But not as clever or as quick. But anyway, ESPN. ESPN is a soap opera, you understand, for men. Good versus evil, winner versus loser. It's a soap opera for men. That's all it is. You understand? That's all it is. See? Oh, Jethro Gibbs. Love that show. Love that show. Comedy Central for two reasons. One, I like to laugh. It releases endorphins. One, I like to study comics to see how their cadence, how they tell a story, how they whatever. Reading. I do like some reading. I like the Sherlock Holmes stuff. I like reading sports autobiographies. Music. I know y'all think, oh, Mike, he's such a nice man. So after this is over, he's probably going to his room and he's probably listening to Matt Maher. He's probably listening to praise and worship music. No, AC/DC is cranked up to about 11. Look at me. There's certain, you laugh. This morning when I got up, I put them in, and there's a certain playlist I play to get me jacked up to meet with you freaks. I'm going to just tell you, right? Really quickly with your neighbor. TV, movies, reading, music. What's on your list? Go fast, go fast, go fast, go fast, go fast, go fast, go fast. All right, come on back. Come on back. Come on back. Hands, give me 3 or 4. Give me 3 or 4. Give me 1. Bruce Springsteen, there you go. Give me 1. Podcast, very good, I like it. Give me 1, give me 1, give me 1, give me 1. The Avengers, there you go. My Favorite Murder. Wait a minute, you are talking about something on TV, right? A podcast. I thought you might have been talking about your classroom. I did not know. I was not sure what you're talking about. All right, watch this. All right, and some of us it's reading, and some of us watch. Next is activities. So that's where your answer comes in. Activities for me: playing basketball, coaching, playing and coaching, playing cards with friends. I play guitar. I love playing guitar. I love listening to music. And I do love coaching. I love what I do here in the big room, but I love coaching ministers, teachers, administrators one-on-one. There's something that juices me about that type of stuff. And it does. It's draining, but it's also a juice. You ever have that? There's something that takes life from you? Like teaching is probably like that. All right? Quickly with your neighbor, playing with your grandkids, going to Barnes and Nobles and looking around and not buying a damn thing. A walk in the woods, fishing, skydiving. Quickly with your neighbor, what does it for you? What does it for you activity-wise? All right. Come on back. Give me 4. Give me 4. Give me 4. Give me 4. Give me 1. Grandbabies. Give me another one. Walking and running for 30 minutes clears the mind. What you got? What you got? What you got? What works for you? What works for you? What works for you? Yes? Hammocking. I was unaware it was a verb. Coloring. Man, has that made a resurgence, huh? But it's mindless and it's art and it's this side of the brain and all that stuff. Yeah. Shopping. I'm sorry, that's an addiction. That's different. No, but sometimes there is to just go and shop and it gives you creative ideas. I'll do that. For some of the stuff I try to use as humor, I will actually go to a grocery store and just look at weird names of grocery stuff. Yeah, like Louisiana original Chinese red pepper. How many people you know named Confucius Boudreaux? I just don't know. But shopping, that can do that. All right, watch this. Here we go. Places. Every summer, 2 families and us, we go to the beach for a week. I hate the sun, I hate the sand, I hate the water. And they're like, why do you come? I'm like, you lucky I love y'all. That's all I'm going to say. But no, there is. We spend a week there, and it's really good for my soul. Tomorrow, while y'all are wrapping up the conference, I will be in the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. I've been a Cubs fan since I'm 8 years old, so that's a big deal for me. That's the Abbey where I went to seminary college, and when I go to make retreat there, there's just something about that place and praying with the monks that, I don't know, it does something for me. That's my flavor, not yours. I got a spirit, you got a spirit. It ain't supposed to be the same. And every summer I'm blessed to work on the campus of the University of Notre Dame. And so that's a special place for me too. Makes me want to be a better person. Quickly with your neighbor, what's your places? A cabin, a hunting camp, where is it? Where's your places? Where's your places? All right, come on back. Let me get some new people, 4-5, where's your place, where's your place? St. Mary's College, I know it well, St. Mary's College, give me one. Miller Park, go Brewers. I'm going to pray for your soul. I'm going to pray for your soul. Disneyland, there you go. Yes, ma'am. A cruise ship. Liking that. My deck. It don't have to be fancy.
I thought you said desk.
This lady here says, I thought you said my desk.
You're wrong seminar.
She's like, wrong seminar. Places. Here we go. Ready? People. Mark and Mary Robichaud are friends of mine. Mark is probably a self-made millionaire. He builds air boats, the big ones with the cones on, but you wouldn't know, down to earth. Their family's gone through stuff we have when we get together. It's a hoot and a holler. These are two buddies of mine from seminary college. When we get back together, it's like we have never missed a day. If the phone rings, if we jump in, bang, bang. Up at the top, these are two people I'm going to the game with tomorrow. They're both youth ministers here in Chicago who've been really good to me. And then at the bottom, my buddy Roy Pettifees, who's going to be our presenter next, who's like a brother to me and so professional and so amazing. But when we get together, we're sophomore boys. It's just good for my soul. It makes my soul smile. Very quickly with your neighbor, who are the people in your life make your soul smile? Fast. Go. Who puts juice back in? Who fills the tank? All right, come on back. Come on back, quickly. All right, new people, give me 4, give me 5, give me 4, give me 5. Who's somebody on your list? Who's somebody makes your soul smile? Who is it? Husband. That's really nice to say at this point. There you go. Old friends who've known you forever. Sir, your dog. There's a great line. Who loves you more, your wife or your dog? Lock them both in the trunk of your car for an hour, and when you unlock it, see who's happier to see you. My dog. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Your boys. Doesn't have to be. My granddaughter, which is what's going to come up next. Watch this. So we talked about food and drink. We've talked about activities or input. We've talked about activities we like to do. We've talked about places we like to go. We've talked about people who give us joy, make your soul smile. And then there are places where God intersects. And sometimes for me, that's the sacred scripture. When I try to spend time listening to the God who still speaks. Sometimes for me, silence. I try to take, it doesn't always work. I try to take a morning of silence. And you can tell that I'm a guy who don't like to keep his mouth shut that much. But sometimes being with that little person, there's no right or wrong because the God thing is probably the most personal of all. But there's certain things that you know are of God and they just move you deeply and fill you. Where are those places for you and your neighbor? You got 30 seconds. Ready, set, go. Where are they? Go fast. I got to wrap this up. Come on, go. Don't fade on me. Don't fade. Don't fade. Let's go. All right. Here we go. Let me get 4 or 5 new ones. Come on, quickly. Where's your God? Where's your God thing? Yes. Your garden. Very nice. Where's your God place? A thing. Sunsets. Nice. Anybody else? There's none I'm looking for. I'm just curious. What's yours? It could be a whole bunch of different things. The night sky. On the water. Yep. Yeah. There's no right answer to this. All right. Now I got to start wrapping this up in like 5 minutes. Give me the best focus you have so I can tell you what the workshop was about. People are like, it was fun. I don't know what we did. I don't know. Do me a favor. I need you to make a list. I need you to make a list. Here's the categories. Food and drink. Input. Stuff you like to read, hear, da-da-da. Activities you like to do. Places. People. And the sacred. Make a list. I'm not joking. That's the prescription. Make a list of what fills you up. Because without us even knowing it, we're being drained much of the time. I love working in Canada. I told you I'd talk about Canada. I got to go real fast. I love Canada. There are certain provinces in Canada that have publicly funded Catholic education. That means when I go to pay my taxes, I can check off a box that says Catholic schools, and whatever I owe the government goes straight to Catholic schools. They make a good living there. Canadian teachers make a good living. They have a program in Canada called deferred sabbatical. If you are approved, you apply, and for 4 years, you collect only 80% of your salary because you can live on it. And the 5th year, you get a paid sabbatical, and your job is waiting for you and guaranteed upon your return. Now, again, not everybody would go for that because you need to stay active. How many people, if you could have that, you could live, you'd say, you know what, I'll go 4 years and I'll do that, but the 5th year I get to go vacation and do what I want, and I get paid, and my job's waiting for me. How many of you would take advantage of it? Hands down. All right? Here's my point. I wish in America we were that smart and we were that well-funded. I can't give you that. But what if you took 1 or 2 things from that list every week and gave yourself a mini sabbatical? Because here's the point of the book and here's the point of the talk. There is a hole in my bucket. There will always be holes in the bucket because ministry drains us. Jesus had a woman touch his garment and he felt power leave from him. Jesus felt that. When you and I do the work that we do, we're going to feel it. And we better know how we replenish ourselves, because the church will not take care of us, not because the church is bad. The church is the best vehicle to bring the gospel today. Catholic schools are still the best vehicle to help form young people to see the rest of God's world. But if we expect the church to take care of us, we're going to be sadly mistaken and we're going to become cynical. We have to take care of ourselves. It is good stewardship. It is not selfishness. You know what's selfishness? Neglect is selfishness, because it's not being a good steward. Why do you think when I get on an airplane, they tell me if we hit a decrease in pressure, put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you put it on your granddaughter, because she only has 15 seconds. And if you're worrying about putting it on her and you can't get it done, you're going to pass out. You ain't no good if you're depleted. You ain't no good if you're cynical. And neither am I. It's time for us to figure out ways to replenish the hole in the bucket. I'm going to close with a story and a prayer. My niece said, Uncle Mike, would you be my sponsor for confirmation? Yes. Confirmation on Thursday, rehearsal on Wednesday. My people live in the country on the bayou. I had never been there because he moved to a new home, a hunting camp. And I'm going to drive. And there's this curvy levee road. And that particular night, it's raining cats, dogs, and small farm animals. And so I'm rushing late, and I ditched the truck. And I'm stuck in a ditch less than 45 minutes for rehearsal. So I run real quick and I see a farmer. I said, could you help me? I got to be somewhere. He said, well, son, what you need me to do? I'm like, could I use your phone? He goes, all the lines are down. I said, well, could you bring me 7 miles back? I'll pay you for gas. We'll get a tow truck. He said, son, I'd love to. My truck is in the shop. I said, is this your tractor? He said, yeah, that's my tractor. I said, we can pull it out. He said, that tractor ain't worked in 10 years. I said, you're not allowed to help. He goes, I'm not the one stuck in the ditch. He said, hang on, son, I got an idea. This is a job for Blue. I said, Blue, what's Blue? He goes, Blue's my mule. Now, when I thought Blue's my mule, when he said that, I thought of Jesus riding into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, but I don't think my niece is going to be impressed. Here's Uncle Mike. Let's go, let's go. I said, mister, I'm not going to ride a mule. He goes, we're going to use the mule. We'll pull it out. Sure enough, he brings an old swayback, flea-bitten animal, looked like it was going to die on the way to the truck. He brings the animal. He puts one in the harness around the mule's neck. He puts the other end around the axle of the truck, and he yelled, come on, Blue, pull! Whoa! Nothing happened. I looked at the farmer. He looked at me. Come on, I'm going to put you back in it, son. Pull! Whoa! The back wheels rocked a little bit. I looked at him. Come on, Sparky. You don't put your back in it. I'll bring you to the glue factory. Pull it! Whoa! Yell, pull, yell, pull, yell, pull. Finally, the back wheels come over the lip of the levee. I got in the truck, fired that bad boy in reverse, and said, thank you, mister. What I owe you? He said, you don't owe me nothing. I said, I owe you an apology. I grew up in the country. I knew mules were strong. They ain't no mule strong enough to pull a 2-ton dude out of a ditch. But, mister, I'm confused. I thought you said that mule's name was Blue. How come you kept yelling, come on, Blue, come on, Sparky, come on, Elmer. He looked at me laughing. He goes, you ain't confused. His name is Blue. But what you don't know is Blue's blind. If he thought he was the only mule pulling that truck, he never would have pulled it that hard. Why do I tell you the story to close? Because I'm looking at a room full of Blue, a bunch of stubborn you-know-whats. We are not the most glamorous. We are not the most bright. We are not the most strong. And there are 2 voices in my head every day. There are 2 voices in my head every day, and I got the best job in America. There's a voice in my head that says, I don't see why you leave your granddaughter. I don't see why you leave your home. I don't see why. You're not going to make any difference. This stuff is still going to happen every day. And there's another voice in my ear. Come on, Michael, pull. But Jesus, I'm tired. Come on, Michael, pull. But Jesus, I'm blind. Even if I could get it out of the ditch, I don't know where I'm going. Come on, Michael, pull. Let me explain something to you. When you get disillusioned, when you get cynical, when you get sarcastic like me, when you get passive-aggressive like me, it's easy to start wanting to quit. When you don't feel that anybody thinks that what we do is noble, it's going to be very easy to shut it down. If you and I don't remember, there's another voice in the ear saying, eat, drink, and rest, or else the journey is going to be too much for you. We're going to be in trouble. The system's going to drain us. Very quickly, a prayer. The new serenity prayer for overcommitted adults. Join me if you will. This will be it. God, grant me the serenity to prioritize the things I cannot delegate, the courage to say no, and wisdom to know the difference. God bless you. Thank you so much.